It's me, your girl T Bird, and welcome to Queen Conversations. Well, today is going to be a different day in the Queendom. I'm back with our wonderful Keisha M. Costin. You guys remember her from episode 1, and if you don't, after this, you need to go and watch it. It was an amazing episode. But today, I guess we could call this Turnabout is Fair Play. That's what this episode would be. So many of the women that I've sat down with have said, when are you going to tell your story? When are we going to get to hear your story? And I was trying to figure out a bunch of different ways to get it done. And I've decided I'm going to sit down with each one of the ladies that I have already sat down and interviewed and give them the opportunity to interview me. So today's episode is called Turnabout is Fair Play. So at this point, I am relinquishing the reins, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to my girl, Queen Keisha M. Costin. Hey, Queen. Welcome to Queen Conversation.
Hey, thank you. I am super excited. I get to interview the queen herself. Queen Terry Bird is an entrepreneur, ordained minister, host, and creator of the YouTube channel Queen Conversation. She is a self-proclaimed professional encourager, that she is. Terry is wife to Paul, mother to Christopher, and daughter Spencer. She is co-owner of the Bird's House, LLC. Terry's goal is to help other women realize their full potential in all that they do so they can truly live their dreams. Her motto is, every woman is a queen. Yes, that is your motto. And you treat us all just like that. So
I
grateful
try.
again.
Thank you.
You are doing it and doing it well.
Thank you.
So I want to start by asking you that question. When did you first discover your inner queen?
You know, it's funny. Because I've asked that question so many times, I've thought about it for myself. I knew the day would come when I would have to answer it. I think somewhere deep inside, I've always known that I was a queen, but I didn't start using the term. I remember my daughter Spencer was about, she was about two and a half. And we had gone to a church service, and it was really funny because that particular day, it was in February, and I always remembered the minister in the month of February, he would always do, he would do like a series for couples, you know, about love and stuff like that. And this one particular Sunday, she went to church and she wore one of her little princess crowns. She was insistent that she had it on that day. And, you know, when you're dealing with toddlers at that point, it's like, you know what? It wasn't worth the fight. Wear the crown, whatever. And truthfully, you know, we teach our children that they're princes and princesses. So why not, right? And so that particular day after church, we came home. And, you know, like I said, she'd been in this whole prince and princess and king and queen phase. And I was making lunch for the family. So I think I had stopped and gotten some hero bread and cold cuts, and I was doing, you know, something simple, but I was putting together lunch, some potato salad, stuff like that. And she comes out of my bedroom where my husband was, and she comes out with his cup, and she says, "The king wants a drink." And I remember looking at her and said, "Oh, really? Does the king want a drink, huh? Oh, I'm going to get a king a drink." Because in my mind, he had put her up to this. Go tell mommy that the king wants a drink. That was where my head was with it. And I finished making the sandwiches. I got his drink, and I went in and I said to my husband, "So, king, here's your lunch and your drink." And he looked at me like, "What is wrong with you? And why are you calling me king?" And I said, "Well, your daughter came out and said the king wants a drink." And my husband said, oh, no. I didn't tell her that. I gave her my cup and just said, "Ask mommy when she brings lunch to bring my cup in." But it got me to thinking. And that from that moment on, what could have been a really potential tense moment between us became a lot of fun. And for her benefit, we started calling each other king and queen. And I began to kind of entertain that idea. Well, if I expect my daughter to be a princess, of course I'm the queen, and that makes my husband the king. And why would we not model that for her and show her what that looks like? And that kind of began the journey. I think since I'm doing these conversations now, of course, I'm discovering more and more levels to this queen thing every day. But that's really where it began. You know, it began with a very sarcastic, tense moment turning into us honestly, lovingly saying, hey, my king, oh, hello, my queen. And it, you know, it became part of our daily life and daily conversation. So that's really where it started.
I am loving that. And we all know that there are no coincidences. And so the fact that your daughter would even step out and say that to me says y'all were role modeling the life of royalty, where she was able to pick that up. And then God has a way of nudging us and reminding us of our true identity. So the fact that you were able to turn that around and just step back into your true identity and voice it and give her a place where she could value that because she's seen it being resembled in her parents. I love it.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. You know, even now, Spencer, well, let's see. So she was like 2 or 3. So we're talking about 10 years ago, because she's getting ready to be 13. She's 12, getting ready to be 13. Mm-hmm. And she actually created the artwork for my channel, for Queen Conversations. So the avatar, the 4 queens, and she has also created a king for me that I'm waiting to debut when I have my first conversation with a king.
I love it. So it just gives that image even greater meaning and value.
Yes.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
So for the last couple of weeks, I have watched you provide a safe space for women to tell their stories and to experience a deeper level of healing as a result of sharing it out loud. What's the story in your heart that needs to be heard?
Yeah, you know, you sent me that question and I said, wow. There's so many stories that I could tell. But I think the story in my heart today you're not going to have me crying on my own show, Keisha. But y'all know me by now, so you know that's what happens. But the story that's in my heart today is don't quit. You know, things happen in our lives. They do. Queen Conversations, stories of trepidation, tragedy, and triumph. Well, the trepidation was my own. God gave me the title. He gave me that that connotation many years ago. But it was my own fear and the thoughts in my head that said, who am I going to talk to? Who's going to listen to me? What do you know, what does this even look like? I don't know how to edit video. I don't know how to do any of this, you know, right up until this past Mother's Day. I was sitting in my recliner minding my business, because on Mother's Day, it's all about me. I don't cook for nobody. I don't take, everybody can fend for themselves. We even get the kids to take care of the dogs. Nobody does anything on Mother's Day. And I was in the recliner hanging out. My husband had gone out and got me lunch, and I was watching a movie. I think I finally sat down to watch an Avengers movie, and I was just chilling. And I heard loud and clear, Queen Conversations. And I looked up and I said, yeah, you've said that before. And he said, yeah, but this time I need you to do it. And I said, well, I don't even know what that looks like. I don't even know where to begin with it. You know, I'm getting ready to be 52 years old. Nobody starts a YouTube channel at 52. It doesn't happen. We can't say that anymore because it's happening. But God gave me, he said, go get a pen and a piece of paper. He gave me 12 names and 12 topics. And I remember when I asked the first woman to sit down with me, the first queen, I remember going, there's no way that I'm going to get, there's no way these women are going to tell me yes. There's no way. And each one of you so graciously, so wonderfully have said, absolutely, I will do it. I will rock with you. And he gave me my girlfriend Malka, who helps me. She helped me put it all together. She knew what it should, I said, this is what I want to do. She said, oh yeah, well, this is how you can do it. This is what it can look like. God showed me to do it via Zoom so that it's recorded, so that if there is something, you talk about our creative safe space. I didn't. I'm just being obedient to what God has told me to do. So the story in my heart is don't quit and keep listening, because as you make that first step forward, there's going to be another step. I think sometimes people look at me and they think this girl is fearless. That's not true. I just do it anyway. My heart is pounding in my chest every time I sit down with another queen. Every time I go to edit another video. Is it going to be received? Not for me, but because my desire for that woman's healing is so great that I want their experience to be incredible. And the joy in all of this for me has been the queens that have come back to me and said, I didn't see myself that way. I watched myself and I didn't see myself that way. It makes me so happy because as women, we are everything to everyone. Yeah. We are wives, mothers, partners. We're in the workplace. We are. I always I equate it to that hat. I just keep, Yeah. I got the one that says CEO, mom, just keep spinning that thing. And some days as women, it just gets to be too much, especially when, we find ourselves, a lot of us are single parents now. I'm blessed. I got a husband of 26 years and I could tell this man I'm going to the moon and he will be like, well, what time is the flight leaving? And do you need me to drop you off at the airport? Seriously. He really, I'm blessed. I really am. But I was raised by a single mom. You understand? So I know the struggle of what that looks like. My father wasn't in my life. I know what that looks like. And so as women, a lot of times, especially as Black women, we shoulder, as you and I talked about, right? We got that suitcase and we just keep packing it and packing it and packing it. And so the idea of even allowing yourself to do something that you've dreamed about is not even on the table most of the time. The idea of doing something creative is not even, we've pushed those things so far away from us. We don't even allow them to come up anymore. I've sat down with women who said, oh yeah, I used to dance, or I used to paint, or I used to sing, I used to write. Well, the Bible says, stir up the gift that's in you. Everything that I'm doing in creating this show is all things that have been built on life experience for me. From customer service to, I'm creating emails and questions, and now I'm even gaining new skills. I'm learning how to edit. I'm learning how to put together and produce and do new things. And how do I present this story this way? How do I come up with it? How do I protect this queen's heart so that light gets shown the best possible way for her to see that her story matters and is important? And that is a whole nother step of the journey that I'm on. The easy part was saying, okay, I'll do it. Putting it all together was a whole nother part. But everything that I needed, I already had. I already had access to. I just needed to access it. Even down to the theme song. That song was written by my friend Kyle Jason many years ago on one of his albums. Prescription is one of my favorite songs. And I remember when I sat down with my girlfriend and I was trying to put together the format, she said, you're gonna need an intro and an outro for the show. And she said, there's music, licensed stuff that, no license, free license stuff that you can use on YouTube. And there is. And I was like, but no, it's gotta be something special. It's got to be something personal. You know, even down to the colors. Purple is my favorite color. The fact that it also happens to be a color of royalty is just a bonus, you know. And I got up from her table, I went into the bathroom, and as I'm washing my hands, I could hear the flutes that are in the beginning of that intro. And I said, prescription. It just like, it dropped in. It was like, you know, it was like an angel just was like playing the flute next to me going, this is the one you need to use. Well, then I had to call him and say, hey, I need a favor. And when I told him what I was doing, he was like, first of all, Kyle is like my brother. He's been around. We've been friends for decades. And he, you know, it's one of those friendships where you've been friends so long, you don't tell people how many years it's been, because now I just said, you know, I got women and men in my life that I just go, it's been over 10 years. That's all you need to know. But I called him and I told him what I was doing. And I said, you know, it's going to be called Queen Conversations. He was like, I love that. That sounds amazing. And I said, okay, good. I'm glad you feel that way. He was like, sign me up. I said, no, eventually I'm going to come around to a conversation with the king. He said, good, sign me up. I said, I'm glad you feel that way, because I need to use prescription as my intro and outro. And he was like, you don't even have to ask. I was like, I absolutely have to ask, because you don't want to click on YouTube one day and hear your song playing and wonder how that happened. So everything though, everybody just said, yes, absolutely. Okay, here we go. Let's do it. And the support has been amazing. It really has been amazing. So my story in my heart today is don't quit. Whatever it looks like, whatever you know, it started out as a thought and you brushed it away. That was God talking to you. And it was your destiny calling. And you got to pick up the phone when destiny calls. I had the pleasure last week of being on a Zoom call, completely unrelated. But it was funny because it was actually called Coffee with Queens. And I was just a participant. I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw this event and I signed up for it. And I've connected with another amazing lady who I'm hoping will be another Queen Conversation. But she had a woman on, her name is Monique Worrell. She is running for state attorney in Florida, in I think Osceola County. But she was talking that day and she said, whatever it is you're destined to do, no one else can do that thing. If you don't do it, it won't get done.
My goodness.
And then later she said, your destiny will be marked return to sender if you don't walk in. And that just, it exploded for me. It was like any moments of, I don't know if I can keep this up. I don't know if I should keep doing this. I'm not sure if I should keep going, was like, you know what? She's 100% right. Because any one of us, any woman who is watching us, any man who's watching us, these kings and queens, they have stories and their story is tied to their destiny. And if they don't step forward in the calling of that destiny, there are people who are waiting for them whose destiny won't be fulfilled. Because there's people that I'm going to reach that you won't touch. Right? There's people that you were called here for that I won't get anywhere near. So we all have to do our part and we all have to make that step and become who God wants us to be. And a lot of times that's really, really scary, but it's necessary. You're the one who always said to me, Queen, your voice is necessary. So you really are a big part of the reason why Queen Conversations has come about and why we're doing this today, because you've always been one to encourage me to say, no, we need your voice. You gotta do it. You gotta say it. You gotta step up. So I think I answered your question and a whole lot more. Sorry.
You absolutely did, and I'm so happy that you are sharing your voice with us. I'm sitting here blown away. If you don't do it, no one else will. And so I, again, thank you for providing this safe space. And I know you said it's not you, it's our dad. And I know that. And as I heard you say that and just share parts of your testimony, I know that in order for the kind of freedom that comes from Queen Conversation to take place, there had to be some healing that took place in you. A lot of us as women are still bleeding. And so our hurt bleeds over into another woman. And so in order to be a pure vessel, there's healing that has to take place. Tell us about your healing journey.
Wow. Well, there have been, like I said, I have amazing women in my life right now. But there have been times in my life when women weren't so amazing. You know, I think we can all attest to the fact that women can be mean, we can be petty, we can be catty, we can be hurtful. I know now, standing on this side, it's because hurt people hurt people. But in the journey, it was very difficult. There were times, because I'm a love giver, I'm a hugger, and like I said, I'm a self-proclaimed self-encourager. If you come to me and say, Terry, I'm gonna try walking on water, I'm gonna go stand on the bank of that river and be like, come on, girl, I know you can do it. I don't care how many times you fall. Get up one more time. Come on, you're gonna get it this time. That's who I am.
Yes.
So when I've given love in the past, when I've embraced women as sisters, because to me, that's who we are. It doesn't matter your race, your color, your ethnic background. We are all sisters, particularly if you are a believer in Christ, as I am. We are all family. And I've got brothers and sisters, both that I share DNA with and that God has given to me. Mm-hmm. And so when I've given that love and I've given that part of my heart and it gets stepped on and crumbled, it was hard. It was very hard. There were times in my life where people I trusted as my sisters literally turned on me. And there were a lot of lonely days after those times. I remember after a while just saying, I'm done. I don't need any more friends. I certainly don't need any more female friends. And I think that's why I have so many brothers in my life, because Kyle being one of them, because men are not petty for the most part. Men, their yes is their yes and their no is their no, and you know, they're pretty straightforward. Women, I don't know, it sometimes becomes a competition. It becomes a thing of jealousy. It becomes, and I've seen it happen with people I'm related to and with people that I'm, you know, I've just met and are friends. It's a very hard process when it happens. Looking back now, I realize that God was really trying to get me to understand what unconditional love looks like. Because his love doesn't have limit, it doesn't have condition, and it forgives over and over and over again, even when we continue to violate the bounds of that love. We continue to go astray. We continue to do it our way. We fight with him. We push against what he's telling us to do. And I remember when, it's funny, when Queen Felicia came into my life, my mom had met her first. She was living in the same apartment complex I was living in. And my mom said, oh, you got to meet this lady. She's so cool. She reminds me of you, blah, 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 blah. And I was coming out of one of those seasons when another friend had really betrayed my heart, really, really bad. And I was like, Mom, I'm finished with all of that. I'm done. I'm a grown up and I don't need friends and I don't need, you know, I'm finished. So yay for whoever this chick is. I'm glad you like her. And, you know, I'm over it. And one day I was home. At the time, I was going to culinary school. I was working a full-time job. It was 2012. I was working a full-time job and going to school to be a chef full-time. And I was homesick one day, and I was sitting out. We were living in Florida, so I was on the couch just chilling. And my mom comes in and she says, I know you don't really want to meet this lady, but she's outside. Really, Mommy? For real? So of course, because I love my mama, I got up and I went out on the patio and I met Queen Felicia. And it was really funny because I guess one of these days we'll have to tell this story, but she was also in a season where she was pretty much done with women too. And we sat out there and we started talking. She's from Chicago. I'm from New York originally. And when I tell you, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours later, 6 hours later, we were still sitting there talking and laughing. And from that point on, I mean, we were always going back and forth. We were literally across the courtyard from each other. And from that point on, we just were going back and forth every single day. And we came to some agreements of what our sisterhood and friendship would look like. And it was really funny because she said to me, look, after a couple of days of us, getting to know each other and hanging out, she said to me, look, I know what I need to be friends with you. But tell me, what do you need for me to be friends, for us to be friends? And it was so funny because her husband said to her, you can't interview people for friends. But we've come to find all these years later that you actually can. And that conversation that day, we have established what we call our friendship rules. And, sometimes I'll call her, if I haven't heard from her in a couple of days or she hasn't heard from me in a couple of days, we pick up the phone and go, okay, so you're in violation of subsection C, paragraph 2, section B.
I love it.
And I'm going to write you a citation because you're violating the rules. And we laughed. And one of the biggest things we established was, you can be angry with me. All right, I'm human. I might say something that's going to make you mad. And you can say, you know what? I need 3 days. I want to talk to you. 72 hours is what you get. Because longer than 72 hours, it starts to fester. We got to talk about it. 72 hours is what you get. And you can say, you can tap out for 72 hours. During that 72 hours, I agree not to call you, text you, have any contact whatsoever. But the only caveat is you can't just take your 72. You got to actually pick up the phone and say, you know what? You made me mad. What you said, I didn't like, blah, 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 and I'm taking my 72. Fair. And I would say that in all these years of friendship, we've never taken it, either one of us.
I love it.
Because it opened a door for communication and a door for complete honesty. And that was the difference. That was the difference. Because in the past, when I used to say to people, all I need is honesty. I'm one of those people, you can say to me, T, don't wear that lipstick again. It looks horrible. Bet. I'm throwing that lipstick in the garbage. Because in my mind, you love me enough to not let me walk around looking like a clown. I'm okay with that. But a lot of times amongst women, when we say we want honesty, like when we say to our significant others, does this make me look fat? No, your fat butt makes you look fat. But I used to get in trouble for stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Don't ask me if you don't really want to know.
Don't really want to know.
Don't really want to know. And a lot of us, we say we want to know. Just like we say we want healing, but we don't want to do the work to get to the healing. Mm-hmm. We say we want freedom, but freedom comes at a cost. And you got to be willing to sit down and look at you and what part did you play in it and how can I show up better the next time? Mm-hmm. So that's been part of the healing journey. And I still every day have to look at another piece, look at another part. As you grow and as you learn and as you continue to move forward, as you continue, now I'm in this space where I've opened myself to the world because I'm posting these videos on YouTube. You got to get grounded and figure out who you are, what is important to you, and stand on it and stand by it. And in this day and age, when everything is so driven by likes and comments and clicks, it's real hard to stay and say, well, this is the way I'm going to do this. Yes. Even with Queen Conversations, I don't have a formula for how these videos are getting released. I release them. I've tried to do it at a certain time in a certain place, but then sometimes God will just be like, no, just hold it, just wait. This week I didn't release anything. I took a 2-day self-care-cation.
All right.
I checked into a hotel and I just relaxed. I didn't have anybody to cook meals for or dogs to walk, or I didn't have a time to get up, a time to go to bed. What I'm finding in this leg of the journey now is that I've got to be really in tune about staying clear, and I have to be really in tune about taking care of me in a way that my cup is full, and it's overflowing, and not where I'm working from a deficit. So I told my husband, I said, listen, I said, you once a month, you're probably going to see me just tap out. And it was great. I came back refreshed. I came back renewed. I came back clear of where to go next, what steps to take. We don't realize the energy that we just constantly give out, and we constantly give it out. And we have friends, we have family, we have loved ones, and I'm grateful for all of them. I'm grateful for what's happening even with this channel. All of my circle is growing, the women in my space is growing, but that also means that there are times when I have to grow for me.
Yes. And
process and hear God's voice, get some quiet time, and just relax. So it's been, healing is an ongoing process, I say. And the other thing that I find myself doing is not fighting other people for their healing.
That's good.
You get people that reach out to you, and they reach out in crisis. They reach out. I've been blessed. I'm coaching. I'm doing all kinds of great things, but you have to learn where to put that extra bit of energy. Yeah. You have to learn, who's ready, and it's okay. It's not a thing of judgment. Everybody reaches that level at a different time, because the truth of the matter is that healing requires you to look in the mirror really, really hard and deep. And a lot of us are not ready to do that. A lot of us have traumas that we don't want to face. We have, especially if they were sexual traumas, yes, from relatives, from significant others. It's heavy. And I understand that. A lot of us have lost loved ones. We have, there's things happening in our space. And so you got to really be willing to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to face this thing, and I'm going to feel these emotions, and I'm going to just lay here and let my heart break and cry, because when I get on the other side of this, I'm going to be able to go to the next step, the next level. And a lot of times folks just aren't ready. They tell you they're ready, but then when they get in the thick of the process, they're not ready. And that's okay. And I tell people, when you're ready, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Yes. But I have to be able to make sure that I'm not expending extra energy because more, it's just starting to grow. There's just starting to be more folks around, and there's, more people who want help and who need help. And so I also have to make sure that I'm taking care of me in the best way that I possibly can. So I'm trying to eat better. I'm sleeping more regularly. There's times when I just put the phone down and walk away, because it's important. It's really important. And I think it's important for every woman. I highly recommend a self-care-cation. That's what I'm calling it.
Yes, I love it.
And you can just get a room. Literally, I was only 20 minutes away from home, but it was like I was on the other side of the world. Especially right now with, all the travel restrictions. And I would love to come to Philly and see you. I'd love to go to New York and see my family, but we just can't right now. So it was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a minute. And it was nice just to change the scenery. It was needed.
Yes. Well, I'm sure you can see why I call this lady my earth angel. She is full of insight, full of resources. What I love about talking to Terry is, as she talks, she always gives you more information. So when there's a question, because I was going to say, well, how do you say grounded? But then you answered it. Then I was going to say, well, what would you say to another woman who's struggling in her relationship with women? And then you said it, as far as setting boundaries. doing an agreement, being able to be open. Set a time frame, but don't just set a time frame. Make sure you say, I need this time. And make sure you say how I offended you. Because as women, one of the things I know from me is stuffing. Because like you said, people say, tell me the truth. But then when you voice your truth, a lot of times you get rejected. And so you learn how to just kind of suffer in silence. And one of the things about you is you teach me that you're not doing anybody any good if you keep pushing your own truth down. So how have you been able to stay connected with your truth, even when it may cost you rejection or people shying away? How have you been able to consistently stay in your truth?
Well, one of the things I try to do, I think too, we have to be careful when we say, I'm just sharing my truth. Because a lot of times people use that excuse as a reason to weaponize their words.
That's good.
There's a difference between sharing your truth and sharing the truth. So one of the things I try to do, two things I always say, we can say anything we want to, but we have to say it with love and respect. And if I'm upset with someone or I've been hurt by someone, it doesn't matter who it is. If I can't come to them with the issue and say it lovingly and with respect, then I sit on it for a couple of days until I can. Sometimes I think as women, and I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but it's the truth. We're emotional beings.
We are.
And we were created to be that way. God designed us that way for a purpose, because we are the nurturers. We have to, nurture the children. We have to care for them. We have to nurture our husbands, and we're homemakers. We are designed to be emotional creatures. However, there's a difference between being emotional and being led by your emotions. And so one of the things that I've had to do in my younger years, I was very short-tempered, very quick to, I could go from 0 to 1,000 in no time flat. And I could use this tongue to take my words and slice you up and walk away, and you'd be bleeding and didn't even know I'd come at you. It's funny because people say to me, I don't see that in you. Yeah, because I've worked a whole lot for you not to see that in me. One of the things that I had to do was I had to get rid of the toxic relationships in my life. People who were triggers for me, I had to say, you know what? I need to limit my time with them. I need to limit my exposure. I need to make myself not available. And I think that's something that as women, we're made to feel like setting boundaries is wrong.
Say that.
We really are. We're made to feel like, if I say to you, listen, I can't have that discussion. That takes me down a road to a dark place. I need you to respect that. Or if I say to you, don't talk to me in that tone. Do me a favor, take a deep breath, and let's calm down, because you don't want me to come back at you the way you're coming at me right now. And that's not easy. It takes a lot of self-restraint and self-discipline. And it took a lot of prayer and a lot of help me, Jesus, to learn to say, okay, first of all, like I said, I'm a New Yorker, born and raised. So sarcasm is our go-to. It's what we do. But I remember when God started dealing with me on that, do you really have to say it like that? Is it necessary? And again, that's when I'd be like, well, it's true. It's the truth, So maybe instead of me saying, girl, you too fat for that dress, maybe I could say, you know what? I think you look better in that purple dress that you wear. I love that one on you. I don't have to make her feel bad for me to feel good. I don't have to degrade her for me to tell the truth. The truth is, baby, you don't really, that one's not as flattering to your figure as the other one is.
Yes.
Or that lipstick color, it doesn't complement your skin tones the way that I think this pink one. You know what I mean? I say put a little sugar on it. You can tell the truth, but tell it with love and tell it with respect. Even if it comes down to, you know what, the way you spoke to me the other day really hurt my feelings. And I think that's that's the thing, is that we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the way as women, especially as Black women, we've been taught that we have to be tough. And I have to say, my brother Kenneth Clark, he said it to me best one day. He was like, "You don't have to be tough, T." And I remember when he said it thinking, I am tough, so. But the truth of the matter is, I don't have to be. I can be vulnerable. I can say, hey, that hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
That doesn't make me weak.
Doesn't make you weak.
It makes me human. It makes me a woman who has feelings, who has a heart, who says, you know what? I'm not going to let you treat me that way.
Yes.
I'm not going to let you talk to me that way. I'm not going to allow you to make me feel a certain way. You know, I've had family members who, you know, because of all of my endeavors, Queen Conversations, I'm so glad I landed on something, because I have done it all. I've sold Mary Kay, Avon, Tahitian noni juice. You know, I have my own travel business even now. There's always something going on, but I've always believed that if you keep trying, sooner or later you're going to find your thing. You throw enough stuff up against the wall, and something's going to stick. And what I've come to realize now, you know, I've been called Ralph Cramden. I've been, girl, what you doing now? Why, 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 why? But those things that used to hurt my feelings, now I realize, number one, it was God training me for this moment. Because everything, every skill that I gained, every little bit more knowledge, a little bit more about dealing with people, about marketing, about every little one of those things I'm doing right now. And I know all of the things that I know because I've walked through all of those things. So I'm okay with how the journey got me here. Yeah. And that's why I was saying, you know, earlier, don't quit. You know, a lot of us, especially as women, we are looking for someone's approval. And the truth of the matter is, you're not going to get it.
Not going to get it.
Because the reality is that when you are willing to step forward in that new thing, whatever it is, right? I know people who, you know, they've set their hearts, they're going to buy a new house this year. And it don't matter what it looks like or how. And you got people sitting around going, girl, why would you buy a house now, man? Do you. If it's in your heart to do it, do it. And don't look for outside approval. If you know that this is your heart's desire, and you know that this is what God has given you to do, then do it. And don't worry about what anybody else says. It's funny because I've had some input even, you know, on the channel, well, what about this and what about that? And I'm like, no, I'm not doing it that way. My brother, Mike Borges, who was the one who showed me about the software to use to start editing videos. He said, sis, not only did you do this, he was like, you didn't even send me the video to look at it first. You just posted it. And he was like, you have big giant balls. He was like, are you serious? And I was laughing. And I said, you know what's really funny is, and I think I shared this with you earlier, I am, for the first time in my life, living in a place where I'm so free. I don't care. I want people to enjoy this. I do. I want folks to resonate with it. I want women to heal. But the truth of the matter is that I am enjoying this journey, and I am loving the joy that I see on these queens' faces when they see themselves and they sit down and listen to their own stories. The stories that I'm getting back, even of how their family has come to them and said, hey, I didn't know it was like that. That's amazing. How brave you are. How, you know what I mean? For that alone, it's just wonderful. And I want the world to participate and recognize, and because I think it has a benefit to everyone who listens.
Yes.
But if you don't rock with me, it's okay.
Yes.
And if you don't subscribe, okay, it's not for you.
But you definitely want to subscribe.
Definitely
you want to get these gems.
But I'm not. When I say that, I mean I'm not living and dying at that subscribe button. There would have been a time when, if everybody doesn't like it, I'm just on the floor and oh, what do I do now? You know what I mean? But I really feel such peace and joy and contentment in the work itself that it's okay. I'm okay. It didn't even cross my mind to ask him to look at it first. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he does. And it's part of what he's done in the past in business even. But I knew there just comes a place, I think, where that God has given you something to do, and you just got to go ahead and do it. And when you hit that place, it doesn't require anybody's okay. It doesn't require anybody's approval. And I really, my prayer, honestly, is that other women will get to this place where they're no longer seeking someone else's okay, because they really do have everything that they need within them. They really do have all of the resources that they need at their disposal if they will just take that first step and say yes.
Now, what would you say to the queen who just heard you say that and is struggling in her own mind with that reality?
First, you got to tell the voices in your head to have several seats.
Several seats. Yes!
That's first and foremost. And like I said, you have to be willing. You got to look at why do you feel that way? We all have to get to that place where why do I act this way? Why do I think this? Where did I get that idea from? Queen Serena is awesome at that.
Yes.
Asking those questions and getting you to ask yourself those questions. I think as women, we don't even sit down and say, well, what do I like?
Yeah.
I've asked different women, well, what's your favorite color? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Purple's been my favorite color since I was 4 years old. Way back when long before Prince, way back when Donny Osmond was singing When the Deep Purple Falls. Now I'm telling some age stories. But anyway, people are Googling right now. Who is Donny Osmond? But something as simple as, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite song? Where's your favorite restaurant? We don't even let those kind of thoughts come into our minds, because number one, somewhere along the way, we were taught that if we reserve those types of thoughts, we're being selfish. You're just being selfish. And you know what? Your family might tell you that. Your friends might tell you that. But guess what? It's okay. They'll live. You got to set boundaries. I remember when my son was little. There's 14 years between my son and my daughter. So I was the only girl in the house. It was me, my son, and my husband. And I would get to that place. I was working a full-time job outside the home. I was mom. I was wife. I was active in my church, doing all kinds of stuff, because that's what we do, right? We tell no one no. And I remember when I decided, I had heard maybe Oprah or Iyanla Vanzant talking about self-care. It was the first time I actually heard the term. And so that would have been mid-90s, because my son was about 6 or 7. And I was just reaching that point where I was just starting to feel frazzled and tired. And I remember thinking, it started out as drawing a bath, getting a couple little votive candles. Now you can get the flameless ones. Put them in the bathroom. Back then I used to take a CD player. Now you can take your phone. And I would make an announcement. I'm going to take a bath. Do not come to this door for anything for the next hour. First person to touch the door dies. Did I mention?
Oh, Lord.
I told you it was a work in progress. I'm telling you what it was back then. But sometimes, like, you got to be that desperate for your own well-being and health and mental peace of mind. We take care of everyone. We take care of everything and everyone, and we don't put ourselves on the list. And I got to the place where it was like, I am going to explode if I don't get a minute to myself.
Absolutely.
And so, and you know what? After the first couple of times, all I had to say was, guys, I'm going to take my bath. Because they began to learn, oh, that's her time.
Yes.
And it's very simple. I always tell people, if you've got little children, set a kitchen timer. Give them a snack. Sit them in front of their favorite cartoon or whatever, and say, and of course, depending on how little they are, you might only get 5 of those 15 minutes. But you set that little kitchen timer and put it down and say, listen, don't come get mommy until the bell goes off. When the bell rings, you guys eat your snack, you watch a show. When the bell rings, you come get mommy. And maybe that means you just go in the bedroom and shut the door for 15 minutes. That might be all you get. But in that 15 minutes, breathe, relax. Take that moment and say, when that bell rings, I'm going to be back to my gig. And I promise you, you'll begin to teach them, oh, mommy's taking her time.
Yes.
Oh, we have to set those boundaries. So the queen who feels like, I'm drowning, I am overwhelmed, my job is this, the kids are that, my spouse is this. Find yourself somewhere where you get 15 minutes. Start there.
Yes.
Maybe it means you get up 15 minutes early in the morning and just go sit outside with your cup of tea or coffee. Maybe it looks like, I'm going to take a bath tonight. Don't knock on, make a sign. Do not knock on this door. Eventually, you will teach them how to treat you. And once you begin to get that little bit of space, you'll be able to think more clearly. You'll be able to say, you know what, guys, if you give mommy this much time, we'll go for ice cream when we're done. Or, you know what I mean? You'll be able to do some things that are a little bit different because you'll be able to see and understand different. I just took a 2-day self-care-cation. I love my family. I'm happy to be home. As soon as I checked out of the hotel, I called and I said, I'm on my way home. I called my husband and said, do you need something? Yeah. Can you stop at the pet store? Bob? Absolutely. My mom said, can you stop at this grocery store? Got you. And you know what? I was happy to go because I wasn't stressed to the max. I wasn't grudgingly going, I never get any time to myself. Well, we don't get time to ourselves because we don't take time for ourselves. And we constantly allow people to violate that time.
Yes.
The bottom line is, if you really want time for yourself, take this and turn it off. Now, you know me, Keish, you know my phone is always nearby me. If I don't answer my phone or respond to a text, it's because I'm sleeping. But my phone is always on vibrate. You'll never hear it make a sound because then I get to choose how I'm doing. You know what I mean? And if I decide, you know what? I need a nap.
Yes.
I'm going to go take a nap. And I'm not going to let anything interrupt or disturb. We have to do that for ourselves. It makes us better everything. We're better women. We're better moms. We're better workers. Whatever it is that you need to do, you're better when your cup is full. As long as you keep allowing people to just take and you just keep pouring out and pouring out and pouring out, well, it's your own fault.
Absolutely.
To an extent. And I get it. You know, people say to me, you don't understand. I do understand.
Yeah.
I was sicker in my 20s than I am in my 50s. I am a more healthy woman today. I spent more time with doctors and hospitals and medicines in my 20s because I would never tell anybody no.
That's good.
And I ran myself ragged.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for saying that. It's true. And like you said, a lot of times we feel selfish and like there's not enough time for me to do that, and I have to do this, and so you know you were right in my lane. But
you are a self-care strategist.
One of the things that I appreciate about putting yourself on the calendar or on your list is when you come back, like you said, you're now able to give not only from your overflow, but you're able to be that joyous mom, wife. And when your family, your friends start to see, oh, wait a minute, if I give her time, she's going to come back being 100%. They going when you start getting frustrated, the last time you put yourself on that list. Right? Because they want this version of you. So that's so good. Absolutely. And I wish more women would give themselves permission. Like you said at first, because it's different. Nobody's used to you saying, I'm going and I'm getting this stuff. Don't knock on the door. The first person that knock on that door is dead. It's like, what? What's wrong with her? But when you come back and you are able to fully give because you've been refreshed.
Yes.
That right there. That makes a difference.
Yes. So thank you. You know, a lot of women, even something as simple as I used to, of course now with with all the lockdown situations that we have, but I used to stop at the bookstore on the way home. Go sit in there and get a book. I wouldn't buy the book. Like whatever the new hot book of the time was, you know, whatever romance novel they were talking about on TV, I wouldn't buy it. I would go sit there and read it, get a cup of coffee and read it for 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever. And then go home. You'd be amazed at the things you can do, and you'll get more creative as you try. You'll get more creative and you'll get more free. And you also are giving the people in your life the skills they need to function and be who they need to be. You don't, you know, we were on your Zoom call last week because, by the way, Queen Keisha has a self-care strategy class that all y'all need to take. But that'll be another episode. You're going to have to watch. But anyway, as we were talking, and we were talking about how being creative with how you take your time, being, you know, some of us need to go dance. Yeah. It's who we are. It's ingrained in our DNA. And maybe right now you can't actually go out. Turn on the TikTok video and do a video. Queen Serena does videos with her kids all the time. It's so much fun. Move, breathe, sit down and think about what were those things that you did in your youth that brought you joy? And do it. Go to Michael's and get some finger paint and some paper and paint with the kids. And maybe you'll make it really fun. Put on an old shirt, each one of you, and paint each other, but have fun. Or maybe get some edible paint with the spouse and, you know, whatever. But hey, I'm just saying, have fun. And you gotta laugh. You gotta rekindle the joy. You got to, you know, this world is serious. Stuff is happening. Things are different. We are probably never going to be back. My husband and I were talking the other day. We're literally ordering masks that match our outfits. Like what is happening? You know, I'm looking on Facebook and ladies they got the head wrap that matches the mask, and because life as we know it has changed, and I'm thinking that it's going to be very different for a very long time, and we may never actually get back to the way things used to be. So we have to find those things that will spark joy in our lives and that will keep us from falling down into the depression and the sadness of it all. So
thank you. So my last question for you today is, when people hear your story, what is the one thing you want them to know?
when people hear my story, the one thing I want them to know is that anything is possible. Anything you decide you want to do, any place you decide you want to go, anywhere you want to be in this life, you can do it. It doesn't always mean it's going to be easy to do it. It doesn't always mean that you won't hit bumps and bruises along the way. You definitely will. It doesn't mean that you won't be hurt in the process. It doesn't mean that you won't sometimes experience tragedy and you know, before you get to the triumph, that there won't be fear and trepidation. But if you just keep going, if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, eventually you will get there. Nothing is impossible to you. You know, the Bible says that all things are possible to them that believe. So the real question is, what do you believe you can do? What do you believe can happen in your life? Because if you believe it, you can without question achieve it. You can do it. There's nothing that can't happen when you make up in your mind that you're gonna go for it and you're gonna do it. You just gotta go ahead and do it.
Well, here you have it, Queen Terry. Thank you. Thank you so much for not withholding. The same way you allow others to tell their story, I know it's important for others to hear your story. I tell you all the time, you are an inspiration to me. And now others who don't know you, of course, the people who know you already know you're an inspiration. I'm not saying anything they don't know, but the people who don't know you, they get to see what it is we love about Queen Terry Bird and what makes Queen Conversation so important in the place where we want to come and just talk with you. And so I thank you for the message in your heart. Don't give up. And I thank you for not giving up. I had a lot of breakthroughs because you said yes. Because you are intentional about the people who cross your path. You're in tune and you pay attention to the things we don't say. And so I appreciate that because, like you said, a lot of time as women, it's hard to be vulnerable. But you, and I'm saying from my heart, you make that quite easy. And so I want to thank you again.
I thank you. This was you made a safe space for me today, and I appreciate that wholeheartedly. I was not sure what this was going to look like. I'm excited though for what will happen going forward. I've asked each one of the queens that I've sat down with to sit down with me, and we'll do something like this. So it's fun. It's very cool. You are, without question, you have great insight for women. And I'm so grateful for the relationship that we have. And I'm so grateful to our dad that he put us together. Thank you. Those were amazing questions, insightful questions. I am curious to see what it's going to look like when I play it back.
You're going to be like, wow. Blowing yourself away.
Good.
And that right there is what brings glory to our dad. When we're able to step into who he had in mind when he created us. When we don't shy away from what he's spoken to us, but we give it all back. We continue to pour it out. And so I thank you for being his reflection in his image. I know you're always like, I don't want it to be about me. And I just want you to know that I'm grateful for you stepping into the light so that we can absorb the diamonds that you picked up along the way. We're better because of it. Thank you again.
Thank you. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for tuning into Queen Conversations. If anything today in today's episode resonated with you, drop us a comment, click like, subscribe, share with another woman. I am so excited for the journey ahead. And don't forget, we have our Soul Freedom group. And I will put a link to the comments below. If you guys need anything, reach out. You know, we're always here to help, to encourage, and to, you know, help you find your healing and your path along the way. So thank you so much for tuning in. Queen Keisha, I love you. Thank you so much. All right, guys. I'll see you next time on Queen Conversations. Bye-bye.